wedding day. I had a 1,000-yard stare, and that troubled her. We got the marriage off on the wrong foot, but we found our special place. I guarantee we found our special place.
Nervous, so we better go. We got somebody waiting for us, so anyway. He's got a lot of opinions, and he likes to voice them when it comes to religion and churches, and so Christian. Just kind of in that whole vein of like checking out.
The eternal question, which of Christine's kids could really burn it all to the ground with some explosive tea? We've all been dying for a tell-all that could make the Kardashians look like amateurs, so let's dive in. First up, I'm calling a three-way tie between Dayton, Logan, and Gabe. Oh, and a quick shout out to Leon for his honorary mention. Christine's kids? Well, they've pretty much already spilled a ton of tea. Aspine, though, she's diplomatic, but you know she's holding onto some nuggets that we haven't heard yet. How much of a bombshell they would be, though? That's anyone's guess, considering how much her siblings and Christine have already spilled. So maybe Aspen's secrets aren't quite as shocking as we hope. Then there's Leon. This one is a bit of a wild card. He knows all about the catfish drama and has probably been witnessing the behind-the-scenes Meri and Kody chaos for decades. But honestly, Meri has already spilled so much of her own tea that Leon's secrets might just feel like reruns at this point. Still, if he dropped some knowledge, I'd definitely be tuning in. Now Dayton. This guy's been quiet for years, and there's a reason for that. He knows everything that's gone down at Shira Chateau. No, he doesn't live with his bio dad. That's a misheard rumor from some game of internet telephone. He's seen the good, the bad, and probably the downright messy. And don't get me started on Robyn's first marriage. Dayton probably has a better memory of it than the rest of us combined. And seriously, the legal adoption and the Flagstaff move? He's definitely got some opinions he's just waiting to spill. Let's not forget Gabe and Logan. These two are deep thinkers, and both were once pretty close to Kody. At different times, of course. Kody used to be all about Logan back in the day, probably dragging him into some housework or business trips with him. Janelle mentioned that Kody would take Gabe on work trips, too. Gabe was basically the youngest boy for a long time. Logan, on the other hand, has been quiet for so long that if he ever spoke out, it would probably be to drop some truth bombs. And don't forget, Gabe had a front row seat to the family's unraveling, so you know his insights would be rich. And Logan. This guy is a goldmine of information. He was the oldest when the show started, which means he had a lot of responsibility on his plate. Practically an adult by the time the cameras started rolling. He knows everything, the good, the bad, and all the stuff in between. His silence is honestly more telling than any tell-all book could ever be. Speaking of which, Logan doesn't seem to have much to do with Kody these days. If you pay attention, you'll notice that there are 0 pics of him with Kody and Robyn. And once he moved out for college, it was like he ghosted the whole family. Done. No more. Lastly, let's talk about Hunter. The Vegas move was a huge deal for him, and if memory serves, he was the most vocal about how messed up it was to keep adding more kids when the family was already financially stretched thin. Hunter's got some serious tea on the entire situation, and I wouldn't be shocked if he had a lot more to say. So who knows the real dirt? Honestly, I think these kids could drop a book that would keep us all glued to the pages for years. We've got so much to dive into today, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump straight into it. Hey everyone, what's up? It's Elena here, and welcome back to my channel Reality Nexus X. The classic Kody Brown family dynamics. Let's break this down with all the sharp sarcasm it deserves. When Isabel had to undergo surgery, Kody decided that showing up for his daughter wasn't exactly in his plans. Nope, not interested. But when he was separated from Aurora for 10 whole days, in the same house, mind you, he was a wreck, sobbing like a toddler who dropped his ice cream. Priorities, right? Then there's the unforgettable moment when Maddie, the first of Kody's children to actually get married, asked her dad to marry her and Caleb. And what was Kody's reaction? Annoyed. because nothing screams father of the bride like pure, unfiltered irritation. But hold up when Aurora, his new favorite daughter, asks him to baptize her with her pastor. Suddenly, it's all rainbows and butterflies. Joy, pure joy, you can practically see the confetti falling as he gleefully jumps at the chance. Apparently, having his new daughter is a game changer. Now, let's talk about Maddie, who, let's be real, was always the golden child. Kody showered her with love in a way no one else got. They even made a special room for Maddie and Caleb when she was pregnant. Not a single other child, unless, of course, we're talking about Robyn's kids, has ever received that kind of treatment. The level of favoritism, astronomical. And look, I get it. I can't even begin to imagine how crushing it would feel if my dad refused to be there for my surgery and then acted like a drama king over not being able to see his new daughter for 10 days. It's hard to decide what's worse. Kody knowing how awful he looks in that situation and just not caring, or him not realizing how badly it reflects on him. Because clearly, Aurora is his priority now. Either way, that's enough to end the relationship for me. Oh, and as for Kody's reaction to Maddie's wedding, more stunned than annoyed. The poor guy probably wasn't ready for a non-Mormon ceremony. And let's not forget Caleb's dad is a preacher, so who knows what kind of curveball that threw him. But come on, Maddie has always been Kody's favorite. No surprise there. The classic cringe moment. So I'm rewatching the show and hit season 8. Honestly, I can't remember the episode number, my bad. And here we are, the family's gearing up for a vacation, but things take a dramatic turn. Christine's all upset because Kody's best friend got invited. And then, plot twist, Kody's friend tells Kody to ditch 3 of his wives. Classic. Later on, Kody pulls the other wives aside, asking them to excuse him because he's got to have a frank conversation with Christine, and he doesn't want to embarrass her. Cue the dramatic eye roll. Oh, and then they pray. Yep, just when you think the scene can't get any worse, they hit you with that. Janelle chimes in with her "we have to eat crow sometimes" line, which, if you ask me, just adds to the whole Mean Girls vibe of the situation. It's one of the cringiest moments of the entire show. Anyone else remember this moment and feel secondhand embarrassment? And let's talk about Kody's best friend, Ken, for a second. Was he not rude? Dude knew full well that Kody had 4 wives when he agreed to meet up with them. So maybe, just maybe, don't be a jerk about it. Just go with the flow, man. You know what I mean. Has anyone else noticed how Janelle drops "you know what I mean" in the middle of every single sentence? It's like she doesn't even notice she's doing it, and honestly, it's become her replacement for words like "and" or "but." Now, I'm not saying I'm entitled to care, but, well, here I am getting annoyed by it. It's a classic filler, right? Like everybody's got one. It's not really a question, it's more of a reflex. Same thing with like, as in, it's like, yesterday feels so far away. Yeah, everyone's doing it. One home, huh? When Kody floated the idea of a single massive house, why didn't anyone think of the genius alternative, building 4 townhomes instead? I mean, really, they could have all had their own spaces, but still gathered in one central location for holidays and special occasions. Probably would have been way cheaper too. But hey, hindsight's 20/20ths. Of course, it's way too late to change that now. Then again, let's be real, Miss Robyn would have turned her nose up at the idea of a townhome, even though she came into the family with nothing but debt. But that's just a minor detail. I bet it would have been a zoning nightmare though. Since the lots are separate, they'd need a variance, and getting that might not be as easy as it sounds. But who knows? Maybe it would have been. Unless, of course, it ruins the character of the neighborhood, because that's definitely the most important thing here. Rewatching the show from the coronavirus era is such a chore. Seriously, it's like the only thing they talk about is the virus. And don't even get me started on Kody's rules. Look, I get it. People were cautious in the beginning. Fine. But Kody? Oh, he was extra with a capital E. He took it to a whole new level, and it completely fractured the family. Honestly, I sometimes wonder what the family dynamic would even be like today if coronavirus never happened. I have this sneaking suspicion that Kody saw it as the perfect excuse to cozy up with Robyn and her kids while keeping a safe distance from the other wives and kids. And Robyn, she was loving it, acting all heartbroken and annoyed that Kody was spending so much time at his house. Yeah, right, that was pure BS. Let's not forget, we all remember what the coronavirus situation was like. People had bubbles, and they socialized within them. Kody and Robyn, they had their little bubble with the nanny, but somehow they couldn't bubble up with the other households. Why? Your guess is as good as mine. Gabe had a girlfriend, sure, but she could have joined their bubble too. Janelle even said the girlfriend was being careful, but Kody, oh, he wasn't having it. It's like he was personally offended that Gabe didn't tell him about the girlfriend. Why? Because Kody's the kind of guy who gets mad when he's not in the loop, apparently. The cherry on top? They didn't see Meri at all during this whole mess, despite the fact that she was following all the rules. That's really telling. If they were actually worried about anyone getting sick, it seems like they'd have made an effort to see her, especially since she was being responsible. But nope. What makes zero sense is the fact that they were so worried about Sol and Robyn catching coronavirus, but Kody was hopping from house to house like it was no big deal. Hello, he could have easily brought the virus home. I mean, where was the logic there? They clearly weren't paying attention to the CDC guidelines, that's for sure. And let's not forget the gem from the season before all this chaos. Kody literally referred to Robyn's house as his home. Interesting choice of words, don't you think? Okay, I know this theory is terrible, and I feel like I should be ashamed of myself, but hear me out. What if Kody's descent into madness is linked to one very important factor, sexual frustration? Stick with me here. So back in the day, Kody and Robyn were practically setting the sheets on fire with their hot romance. And during this time, Kody was at his peak, manic, positive energy, all that jazz. Robyn was also more assertive, probably feeling herself in her role as Kody's queen. Fast forward, and suddenly Kody's this sullen, angry guy who is inexplicably jealous of his son just existing during the pandemic. Remember that weird pencil comment? Classic Kody moment. Meanwhile, Robyn's kids, Oriella and possibly Solomon, were co-sleeping with her until they were practically old enough to drive. Oriella didn't even wean until she was 3. As a mom with a toddler who co-slept and breastfed, let me tell you, it kills any chance of intimacy with your partner. When your kid is practically in your bed, good luck trying to rekindle that physical connection with your husband. Once we got our kid in his own room. Game changer. So here's my hot take. What if Kody's escalating madness, his negativity, and his increasingly obsessive weird behavior, especially with Robyn, has to do with his sexual frustration? Like maybe he's been waiting for her to get her kids out of their beds so they can have some actual adult time. I mean, a frustrated, horny guy will literally do anything to get what he wants. So if Kody thought he could just keep bending over backward for Robyn, and she'd suddenly be all over him again, I can totally see why he'd be so desperate to please her. And Robyn? If she realized she could hold all the power by keeping the kids in the bed, and let's not forget the constant flow of gifts, why wouldn't she string it out? Oh, and here's the kicker. Robyn's suddenly all shy and demure. Please, she's just looking for another reason to withhold from Kody, so she can keep that power dynamic intact. Classic manipulation 101. Now, I feel terrible for even suggesting this, but I have this gut feeling I'm onto something. Just hear me out. It would explain Kody being all jouncing for Janelle during that birthday date to Mariposa. Oh, and by the way, has anyone else noticed that Kody seems to be on testosterone supplements now? Yeah, because nothing says, I'm in control, like turning up your aggression levels to 11. I'm not saying it's a cure-all, but if he's having trouble getting it up, well, that's common for men his age. Combine that with testosterone, a little men's rights nonsense, you know the type, and the rise of toxic, fear-driven groups that latch onto angry white men of his age during the pandemic, and boom, there's your perfect storm. It's like my dad, honestly. Same age as Kody, and he went full Keenan during the pandemic. Now he's so aggressive and borderline abusive if anyone disagrees with him. Took a while, but my siblings and I finally agreed. He's basically in a cult. And Kody? Well, he's already trying to lead one of his own. His behavior's been building to this for a while now, and it's definitely not just a random midlife crisis. Kody. Just when you think he can't get any worse, he pulls a classic move. After months of pressuring Meri to have a baby, stressing her out, begging her for an answer, and acting like it was unfathomable that she would even hesitate, he finally drops the bomb. Nah, I'm not into it, and not in a gentle way either. When Meri suggests they sit on the idea for a bit, he's like, yeah, but sit on it as a no, as if this was all her fault from the beginning. This man led her through an emotional roller coaster, making her believe he desperately wanted another kid. He made her feel guilty for not making up her mind already, only for him to turn around and say, actually, never mind, I don't want one. It's textbook gaslighting. He manipulated her into thinking she was the problem, when in reality, he was just toying with her emotions for his own convenience. And don't even get me started on the whole IVF fiasco in Mexico. It's almost like he was just trying to stir the pot, because he knew Meri would never go for it, especially after everything they were going through. But hey, why not add some more stress to the already rocky marriage, right? Meri deserves way better than this. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and much love to you all.